Today.
Don't let him touch that envelope. Marcus's voice thundered across the grand living room just as Daniel stepped toward Margaret Ashford with the thick brown envelope clutched tightly in his hand. Every head turned. Daniel froze for the briefest moment before forcing a smile. "What exactly is your problem, Marcus?" he asked calmly. "This family deserves the truth." Marcus didn't move. His eyes never left Daniel's face. "No," he said quietly. "This family deserves the real truth." Silence swallowed the room. Claire stood beside Margaret, her heartbeat pounding so loudly she could barely hear herself breathe. James looked from Marcus to Daniel. "What is going on here?" he demanded. Daniel slowly lifted the envelope. "I've spent years looking for these records," he said. "Everything inside this envelope proves that Claire Dawson is not who she claims to be." Claire's face drained of color. "I've never claimed to be anyone," she whispered. Daniel turned toward her. "Exactly." Margaret instinctively reached for Claire's trembling hand. "You don't have to listen to this," Margaret said softly. Daniel interrupted. "You should." He pulled a stack of aged documents from the envelope. The yellowed papers looked official. Several carried faded stamps. Others bore signatures. "There," Daniel said confidently. "Orphanage admission records." James stepped closer. Daniel carefully spread the documents across the polished table. The child admitted to St. Anne's home 23 years ago was abandoned outside a church nearly 200 miles from Ashford Manor. He pointed to a line. "No parents identified." Another line. "No known relatives." Then another. "The child arrived wearing clothing inconsistent with any hospital birth." Margaret frowned. "What are you trying to prove?" Daniel looked directly at Claire. "I'm proving she cannot possibly be your daughter." The word struck the room like a slap. Claire lowered her eyes. She had promised herself she wouldn't cry. Not again. Not in front of strangers. Not after everything Margaret had already done for her. But the ache in her chest became unbearable. "If these papers are real," she whispered, "then maybe I've been wrong to hope." Margaret immediately turned toward her. "No." Claire looked up. "No?" Margaret squeezed both of Claire's hands. "I don't care what those papers say." Claire stared at her. "I invited you into my life because of what I saw in your heart, not because of blood." Tears gathered in Claire's eyes. Margaret continued. "If these documents say you're not my daughter." She paused. "Then I still won't let you walk out that door alone." Claire finally broke. A tear slipped down her cheek. "You barely know me." Margaret smiled sadly. "I know enough." Across the room, Evelyn quietly wiped her eyes. James noticed. "Evelyn." She looked away. Daniel cleared his throat loudly. "This is exactly why emotions are dangerous." Marcus folded his arms. "And manipulation isn't?" Daniel ignored him. He lifted another sheet. "This is the intake report." He handed it to James. James scanned the page silently. "It appears official," he admitted. Marcus stepped closer. "May I?" James handed him the document. Marcus studied every corner. Every signature. Every stamp. Every fold. His expression changed almost imperceptibly. Daniel noticed. "You won't find anything." Marcus looked up. "I wasn't expecting to." Daniel smiled. "Good." Marcus laid the page down carefully. "What ink was used?" Daniel blinked. "What?" "The signature. I don't know." Marcus nodded. "Interesting." Daniel laughed. "That's your big question." Marcus remained calm. "The report claims it was signed 23 years ago. So the ink is unusually vibrant. James frowned. What does that mean? Marcus answered without taking his eyes off Daniel. It means someone preserved it exceptionally well. He paused. Or someone signed it much more recently. The room fell silent again. Daniel laughed louder this time. You've become paranoid. Maybe. Marcus gently lifted another page. This page has no natural aging around the edges. Daniel shrugged. So? The paper is old. So? The folds are old. So? The stains are old. Daniel's smile began fading. Marcus continued. But this signature isn't. Daniel said nothing. Marcus picked up a magnifying glass resting on the antique desk nearby. He examined the lower corner. James stepped closer. What is it? Marcus pointed. Pressure marks. I don't understand. The signature was written after the paper had already been folded. James looked confused. How can you tell? Marcus turned the document sideways beneath the light. The pen skipped across the crease. Daniel immediately reached forward. Give me that. Marcus calmly pulled the paper back. No. Daniel's voice hardened. Those are my documents. They're evidence now. Margaret looked from one man to the other. What exactly are you saying, Marcus? I'm saying someone may have altered these records. Daniel scoffed. Or maybe you're simply desperate to believe a fairy tale. Marcus smiled faintly. No. He looked directly into Daniel's eyes. I'm desperate to believe facts. Claire watched the exchange with growing confusion. Her emotions swung wildly between hope and despair. Just minutes earlier she had accepted the possibility that Margaret wasn't her mother. Now Marcus had reopened the question. She didn't know which possibility frightened her more. Daniel suddenly gathered several pages together. We're wasting time. Marcus blocked him. Leave the documents. I said we're done. No. Daniel's voice became sharper. You have no authority here. James stepped between them. Actually. Everyone looked at him. Until we know whether these records are genuine, nobody leaves this room with them. Daniel's jaw tightened. You can't be serious. I've never been more serious. Daniel looked toward the front door. For the first time since arriving, he appeared genuinely uncomfortable. Marcus noticed immediately. Why are you looking at the exit? Daniel forced another smile. I'm not. You are. I simply have another appointment. Marcus nodded slowly. I'm sure whoever sent you is getting impatient. Daniel's face stiffened. I came alone. Marcus took one deliberate step closer. Did you? Daniel's silence lasted only a second. But it was enough. Claire saw it. Margaret saw it. James saw it. Even Evelyn noticed. Something wasn't right. Something much bigger than orphanage records had just entered Ashford Manor. And whatever Daniel was hiding, it had only begun to unravel. Daniel's silence lasted only a heartbeat, but it was enough. Marcus didn't miss it. Neither did Margaret. James slowly folded his arms. You said you came here to help, James said. So why do you suddenly look like you're trying to leave? Daniel forced a laugh. You're all reading far too much into this. No, Marcus replied. We're finally reading you. Daniel placed both hands on the table and leaned forward. I've brought evidence. Instead of thanking me, you're treating me like a criminal. Marcus answered calmly. Then you shouldn't mind answering a few questions. I've already answered enough. You haven't answered any. The room became quiet again. Claire stood motionless beside Margaret. Every sentence seemed to tighten the knot in her stomach. She looked at Daniel. "If you know something about me," she said softly, "please, just tell the truth." Daniel turned toward her, and for a brief second something almost like guilt flashed across his face. "I am telling the truth." Marcus immediately stepped in. "Then start with something simple." Daniel sighed dramatically. "Fine. Where did you obtain these records?" Daniel hesitated. "From an attorney." "What attorney?" "I don't remember his name." Marcus smiled. "You expect us to believe you spent years searching for these documents but forgot the name of the lawyer who gave them to you?" Daniel frowned. "I've dealt with many lawyers. So give us one name." "I can't." "You mean you won't?" "I said I can't." Marcus nodded slowly. "Interesting." James looked at Daniel. "I'd like an answer too." Daniel shifted his weight. "The attorney has since retired." "His name?" "I don't remember." Marcus looked toward James. "That's strike one." Daniel scoffed. "This isn't a baseball game." "No," Marcus replied. "It's a search for the truth." Marcus picked up another document. This orphanage admission form lists the admitting officer as Sister Helen Matthews. "Correct." Marcus looked directly at him. "Sister Helen passed away 28 years ago." Daniel's expression froze. The room fell silent. Claire blinked. Margaret stared at Marcus. James leaned forward. "What did you just say?" Marcus laid the paper flat on the table. "I visited St. Anne's home years ago during a charity investigation." He tapped the signature. "Sister Helen died 5 years before this document claims she admitted Claire." Daniel swallowed. "That's impossible." "No." Marcus kept his voice steady. "What's impossible is for a deceased nun to sign admission papers." James looked sharply at Daniel. "Explain that." Daniel quickly shook his head. "There must be another Sister Helen." Marcus pulled out his phone. There wasn't. He scrolled through several files before turning the screen toward James. A photograph appeared. Beneath it was an obituary. James read silently. His eyes widened. "This says she died." He looked back at the document. 5 years earlier. Daniel said nothing. Claire felt hope flicker inside her for the first time since Daniel had opened the envelope. Margaret squeezed her hand. "I told you," she whispered. Daniel suddenly straightened. "Fine." "Fine?" Marcus echoed. "Maybe this page contains an administrative error." Marcus laughed quietly. "Administrative error?" "Yes. So a dead woman signed an official document?" Daniel didn't answer. Marcus picked up another page. "This birth notification references Mercy General Hospital." So that hospital changed its name 30 years ago." Daniel stared blankly. Marcus continued. 23 years ago it wasn't called Mercy General Hospital." James looked stunned. "What was it called?" "St. Gabriel Medical Center." James slowly turned toward Daniel. "That's two." Daniel's confidence continued slipping away. He loosened his tie. "You people think you're very clever." Marcus ignored the comment. "This stamp." He pointed toward the bottom of another page. "It uses the hospital logo introduced only 12 years ago." James frowned. "So this stamp didn't even exist 23 years ago?" Marcus nodded. "Exactly." Margaret slowly lowered herself into a chair. She looked exhausted. "My God." Claire knelt beside her. "Are you all right?" Margaret looked into Claire's eyes. "I don't know what to believe anymore." Claire gently held her hand. "You don't have to protect me." Margaret shook her head. "I'm not protecting you." Her voice cracked. "I'm protecting the hope I've carried for 23 years." Claire's eyes filled with tears again. Across the room, Daniel suddenly reached for the documents. "We're done here." Marcus blocked his hand. "No. I said we're done." James stepped beside Marcus. "The documents stay." Daniel's voice became colder. "You have no legal authority." James answered immediately. "Maybe not." He reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "But the police do." Daniel's eyes widened. "What?" James calmly pressed a button. "I'm requesting officers to witness the chain of custody." Daniel immediately took a step backward. "That's unnecessary." Marcus noticed. "There it is again." Daniel frowned. "What?" "Fear." "I'm not afraid." Marcus smiled. "You were confident 5 minutes ago." James kept speaking into the phone. "Yes. Ashford Manor, possible forged legal documents, yes, we'll preserve everything." Daniel suddenly raised both hands. "Wait." Nobody spoke. He looked around the room. "I don't think involving the police is necessary." Marcus folded his arms. "Then tell us who sent you." "I wasn't sent." "Who paid you?" "No one." Marcus took another slow step. "Daniel, every lie is becoming harder to defend." Daniel's breathing became noticeably heavier. Claire watched him carefully. Something had changed. He no longer looked like the confident man who had walked into Ashford Manor. He looked cornered. Before anyone could speak again, Evelyn suddenly gasped. Everyone turned toward her. She was staring at one particular page on the table. Her hands began shaking violently. Margaret noticed immediately. "Evelyn?" Evelyn didn't answer. She continued staring at the paper as though she'd seen a ghost. James hurried toward her. "What is it?" Her lips trembled. She swallowed hard. "I've seen that seal before." Every eye locked onto her. Marcus spoke first. "Where?" Evelyn slowly looked up. "At the hospital." The room froze. Margaret stood. "What hospital?" "The one where—" Evelyn's voice broke. "Where they told you your baby had died." Nobody breathed. Marcus stepped closer. "Evelyn." She nodded slowly, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I remember that stamp." Daniel suddenly interrupted. "She's confused." Evelyn spun toward him. "No." Her voice echoed through the room. "I remember because one of the nurses argued with another doctor." She covered her mouth. "They kept talking about documents." "What documents?" Marcus asked quietly. "I didn't understand then." She squeezed her eyes shut. "But now." She pointed toward the forged papers. "I think I've seen those same seals before." Daniel's face turned pale. Outside, the distant sound of approaching sirens drifted through the evening air. James looked toward the window. "They're here." For the first time since he entered Ashford Manor, Daniel looked genuinely terrified. The sound of the approaching sirens echoed through Ashford Manor like a warning that 23 years of buried secrets were finally demanding to be heard. Daniel's breathing became uneven. His eyes darted toward the front entrance. Marcus noticed every movement. "You've been looking at that door ever since James called the police," Marcus said calmly. "Tell me, Daniel, are you hoping someone gets here before the officers do?" Daniel glared at him. "I have nothing to hide." Marcus gave a slight smile. "Then stay exactly where you are." James carefully gathered the documents into separate piles without disturbing their order. "No one touches these until the authorities arrive," he said. Margaret remained beside Claire. She could feel Claire trembling. Claire whispered, "Everything keeps changing. Every minute I think I've learned the truth, another piece falls apart." Margaret gently brushed a strand of hair away from Claire's face. I made you a promise. Claire looked into her eyes. What promise? No matter what we discover tonight, you won't face it alone. Claire fought back fresh tears. You don't even know if I'm really your daughter. Margaret's voice softened. I know something far more important. What? I know the kind of woman you've become despite everything life has done to you. Claire lowered her head. No one has ever said something like that to me. You deserved to hear it years ago. Across the room, Evelyn suddenly spoke. I remember another face. Everyone turned toward her. Marcus immediately stepped closer. What face? The man who kept visiting the hospital. Daniel stiffened. Evelyn continued slowly. He wasn't a doctor. She squeezed her temples as if forcing memories back into place. He wore expensive suits. James exchanged a quick glance with Marcus. Can you remember his name? I couldn't then. She closed her eyes. But I remember everyone seemed afraid whenever he arrived. Marcus asked gently, what happened when he came? The nurses stopped talking. The administrators would rush into private meetings. And one evening, she hesitated. Margaret took her hand. It's all right. Evelyn nodded. I accidentally walked past an office. What did you hear? I heard someone say. Her voice trembled. If Victor finds out this wasn't done properly, we're all finished. The room went completely silent. Claire looked around in confusion. Victor? Marcus slowly turned toward James. There it is. James nodded. The first independent witness. Daniel suddenly laughed. It sounded forced. You're trusting memories from over 2 decades ago. Marcus looked at him. We're comparing those memories with forged documents. Daniel shrugged. Memories fade. Marcus answered immediately. But forged ink doesn't. Just then, the manor's head butler entered the room. Sir. James looked up. Yes? The police have arrived. Daniel instinctively took one step backward. Marcus noticed. So did I. 2 uniformed officers entered, followed by a middle-aged detective carrying a leather evidence case. I'm Detective Alan Brooks, he said. James extended his hand. Thank you for coming so quickly. The detective looked around the room. I understand there are allegations of forged historical documents. Marcus stepped forward. I've identified several inconsistencies already. The detective nodded. I'd like everyone to remain exactly where they are. He carefully put on a pair of gloves before examining the papers. For several minutes nobody spoke. The only sounds were the turning of pages and the clicking of photographs as the detective documented every document. Finally he stopped. He looked at Daniel. These belong to you? Daniel hesitated. I brought them. Did you create them? No. Who did? I don't know. The detective raised an eyebrow. You don't know? They were given to me. By whom? My attorney. Marcus quietly smiled. The attorney whose name he can't remember. The detective looked back at Daniel. Is that true? Daniel remained silent. The detective wrote something in his notebook. I'll ask again. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck. I don't remember. The detective closed the notebook. I find that difficult to believe. At that moment, one of the younger officers walked over carrying a portable ultraviolet inspection light. Sir, he said to the detective, would you like me to check the signatures? Marcus looked surprised. You brought UV equipment? The detective nodded. We've seen an increase in forged estate documents over the last few years. Daniel's face lost what little color remained. The officer switched on the ultraviolet light. One by one, He moved it across each page. Nothing happened. Then he reached the signature Marcus had questioned earlier. Blue streaks suddenly glowed beneath the ink. The officer frowned. "That's odd." "What is it?" James asked. The detective leaned closer. "The signature has reacted differently from the surrounding writing." Marcus folded his arms. "What does that indicate?" The detective answered without looking up. "It suggests different ink compositions." He continued examining the page. A few seconds later he slowly exhaled. This signature was almost certainly added at a different time. Margaret covered her mouth. Claire stared at Daniel. "You lied." Daniel opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Then, unexpectedly, his phone vibrated loudly inside his jacket pocket. Everyone heard it. He instinctively reached for it. The detective's voice stopped him instantly. "Don't." Daniel froze. "Place the phone on the table." For a split second, Daniel looked genuinely trapped. His hand trembled. The phone continued vibrating. The screen lit up. Marcus happened to glance at it before Daniel turned it over. One name flashed across the display. V. Ashford. Marcus' eyes narrowed. Victor. The room had just become far more dangerous than anyone had imagined. Nobody spoke. Every eye was fixed on the phone lying face up on the polished table. The screen slowly faded to black. Marcus looked at Daniel without blinking. "Who is Victor Ashford?" Daniel swallowed. I don't know." Marcus almost laughed. "Your phone seems to disagree." The detective gently slid the phone toward himself. "Do you consent to me examining this device?" Daniel immediately reached forward. "No," the detective calmly withdrew the phone. "That's your legal right. However, considering the allegations surrounding these documents, this device may become relevant evidence." Daniel's breathing grew heavier. "You're making this bigger than it is." Margaret stepped forward. "Bigger than it is?" Her voice shook with emotion. "For 23 years I buried a child I never got to hold again." She pointed at the forged documents. "Someone may have stolen my daughter, forged official records, and destroyed my family." Her eyes filled with tears. "And you expect me to believe this isn't a big matter?" Daniel lowered his gaze. Claire stood silently beside Margaret. She had never seen such pain in another human being. James looked toward the detective. "What happens now?" The detective answered carefully. "These documents will be submitted for forensic examination." Marcus nodded. "That includes ink dating?" "Yes." "Paper composition?" "Yes." "Stamp authentication?" "Yes." "Handwriting comparison?" "Absolutely." Daniel interrupted. "You're wasting everyone's time." Marcus looked at him. "Are we?" Before Daniel could respond, the detective's phone rang. He answered briefly, listened, then looked toward Marcus. "The laboratory you mentioned?" Marcus nodded. "I asked them to remain on standby." The detective covered the phone. "They've agreed to prioritize these documents." James released a slow breath. "Good." Daniel suddenly forced a smile. "You people seem convinced you've won." Marcus answered quietly. "We haven't won anything." "No? We've simply begun asking the right questions." Daniel folded his arms. "You still have no proof Claire belongs to this family." Claire lowered her eyes. The words still hurt. Marcus noticed. He turned toward her. "Claire." She looked up. "I need to ask you something." "All right. When you were growing up..." He paused. "Did you ever own anything that you couldn't explain?" Claire frowned. "What do you mean, anything unusual?" She thought for several moments. Then her expression changed. There was something. Margaret immediately looked at her. What? Claire hesitated. My foster mother always kept a small cloth pouch. Marcus leaned closer. What was inside? I never knew. Why not? She wouldn't let me touch it. James asked gently, did she ever tell you why? Claire nodded slowly. Only once. What did she say? Claire closed her eyes, remembering. She said. Her voice softened. If anyone ever comes asking questions about your past, give them this first. Marcus and James exchanged another look. Margaret's heartbeat quickened. Do you still have it? Claire nodded. I think so. You think? I've carried it with me for years. Where is it? Claire looked embarrassed. My backpack. The one from the restaurant? Yes. James immediately turned toward the butler. Robert. Yes, sir. Claire's belongings were placed in the guest suite. They were. Please bring her backpack immediately. Right away. The butler hurried from the room. Daniel remained perfectly still. Too still. Marcus noticed. You don't seem curious. Daniel shrugged. About what? The pouch. I doubt it's important. Marcus smiled. You've never seen it. No. So how do you know it isn't important? Daniel opened his mouth. Then stopped. Marcus nodded. Exactly. Several minutes later Robert returned carrying Claire's worn backpack. Claire took it carefully. I haven't opened this since. She stopped. Margaret squeezed her shoulder. Take your time. Claire slowly unzipped the faded bag. Inside were neatly folded clothes, a small notebook, a cracked photograph, an old scarf, then her fingers stopped. She looked up. It's here. Everyone instinctively leaned closer. Claire carefully removed a tiny cream-colored cloth pouch tied with a faded blue ribbon. It looked decades old. Margaret covered her mouth. I know that ribbon. Claire looked surprised. You do? Margaret nodded slowly. My mother embroidered ribbons exactly like that. James looked at Marcus. Neither man spoke. Claire loosened the knot with trembling fingers. Inside was a tiny silver baby bracelet, a folded piece of yellowing paper, and a delicate gold locket no larger than a coin. The room fell completely silent. Margaret stared at the bracelet. Her knees almost gave way. James caught her before she fell. Margaret. She pointed with a shaking finger. Tears streamed down her face. I recognize it. Claire looked from the bracelet to Margaret. What is it? Margaret could barely breathe. I had two made. Claire froze. What? Margaret whispered, when I was pregnant. She wiped away tears. I ordered matching silver bracelets. James looked stunned. I remember. Margaret nodded. One was placed in the nursery. The other? I asked the jeweler to engrave it. Marcus carefully picked it up without touching the surface directly. He turned it over. Tiny letters had been carved into the back. Everyone leaned closer. The engraving read, C.A., Forever Loved. Claire whispered, C.A. Margaret closed her eyes. We named her before she was born. Claire looked confused. You did? Margaret nodded. Claire Ashford. The bracelet slipped from Marcus' fingers onto the velvet cloth. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. Daniel stared at it as though all the color had drained from the world. Marcus slowly turned toward him. You've seen this before. Daniel shook his head too quickly. No. Marcus took one step closer. You recognized it the moment it came out of the pouch. I didn't. You did. I said no. The detective watched the exchange carefully. Mr. Carter. Daniel looked at him. I'm now advising you not to leave this property until we've completed preliminary interviews. Daniel forced another smile. Am I under arrest? No. Then I'd like to leave. The detective's expression remained calm. I strongly advise against it. At that exact moment, another phone began ringing. It wasn't Daniel's. It belonged to Evelyn. She looked at the unfamiliar number on the screen. I don't recognize this. Marcus frowned. Put it on speaker. Evelyn hesitated. Then answered. Hello? For 3 long seconds there was only static. Then a deep male voice said quietly, You've already said far too much. The call ended. Every person in the room stood frozen. Someone else knew exactly what was happening inside Ashford Manor. And they were listening. Nobody moved. Evelyn continued staring at the phone in her trembling hands. Margaret was the first to break the silence. Who was that? Evelyn slowly shook her head. I don't know. Marcus stepped toward her. Let me see the number. She handed him the phone. Marcus examined the screen. Private number. James frowned. So whoever called made sure they couldn't be traced. The detective extended his hand. May I? Marcus passed him the phone. The detective studied the call log for several seconds before nodding. It appears to have been routed through a masked service. Daniel suddenly spoke. Anyone can make anonymous calls. Marcus immediately looked at him. That's true. Daniel relaxed slightly. Marcus continued. But anonymous callers usually don't know what someone has just confessed inside a private room. Daniel's expression hardened again. Claire felt another chill run through her body. She looked around the room. Does that mean? She hesitated. Someone is watching us? Nobody answered immediately. The possibility unsettled everyone. Marcus slowly walked toward the large windows overlooking the estate grounds. The curtains remained partly open. Darkness had settled outside. Security lights illuminated the gardens. Everything appeared peaceful. Too peaceful. Marcus turned toward James. How many security cameras cover the property? 32. Are they recording 24 hours a day? Marcus nodded. I'd like to review the footage from the last 2 hours. James looked toward Robert. Take Mr. Marcus to the security room. Before Robert could answer, another voice interrupted. I'll do it. Everyone turned. It was Claire. Marcus looked surprised. You? Claire nodded. I don't want to stand here waiting while other people uncover my life. Margaret gently touched her shoulder. You don't have to carry this burden alone. Claire smiled faintly. I know. She looked around the room. But for the first time in my life. Her voice trembled. I feel like the truth might actually exist. Margaret squeezed her hand. And we'll find it. Marcus nodded. Let's go. As Marcus and Claire walked toward the hallway, Daniel quietly watched them disappear from sight. The detective noticed. What are you thinking about? Daniel forced a smile. Nothing. The detective wrote another note. You've said nothing quite a lot tonight. Daniel didn't answer. Upstairs, Marcus and Claire entered the manor's security room. Wall-sized monitors displayed every entrance, hallway, and section of the estate. The chief of security stood immediately. Mr. Ashford. James had followed them. I need footage beginning 1 hour before Daniel arrived. Yes, sir. The technician began rewinding the recordings. Claire stood silently behind Marcus. Her palms were sweating. The footage rolled backward. Garden. Driveway. Front gate. Empty road. Then. There. Marcus pointed. The image froze. A black sedan had stopped nearly 300 meters outside the estate gate. Claire frowned. Daniel's car? No. The security chief zoomed in. The resolution sharpened. Daniel stepped out of the passenger seat. Claire stared. He wasn't driving. Marcus folded his arms. So much for coming alone. The driver remained inside the vehicle. His face was hidden beneath the shadow of a wide-brimmed hat. Daniel leaned through the driver's window. The two men spoke for nearly 30 seconds. Then Daniel walked toward Ashford Manor carrying the brown envelope. The sedan drove away. James looked at the timestamp. It left before Daniel entered. Marcus nodded. Keep watching. Several minutes later, another camera captured the sedan stopping farther down the road. It didn't leave. It parked beneath a line of trees. Claire's heartbeat quickened. They waited. Marcus nodded slowly. They expected something. The technician switched to another camera. The black sedan remained there. Motionless. Waiting. Marcus looked toward James. I'd like the license plate enlarged. The technician worked quickly. Within seconds the plate became visible. James read it aloud. Marcus immediately reached for his phone. What are you doing? Claire asked. Checking vehicle registration. A minute later Marcus frowned. What is it? James asked. The registration doesn't exist. James blinked. What do you mean? It belongs to no vehicle. Claire looked confused. Is that possible? Marcus nodded. It means the plate is fake. Back downstairs the detective continued interviewing Daniel. You said you came here to help. I did. Who asked you to come? No one. Then why today? I thought the family deserved answers. The detective leaned back. After 23 years? Daniel shifted in his chair. I recently discovered the documents. The detective looked directly into his eyes. And yet they're already showing signs of recent alteration. Daniel looked away. Before he could respond, one of the officers hurried into the room. Sir. The detective stood. What is it? We found something outside. What? A second set of footprints beneath the East Library window. James frowned. That window hasn't been opened today. The officer nodded. Exactly. Marcus and the others returned just in time to hear the report. Marcus immediately asked, fresh prints? Very. James looked toward the detective. Could someone have been watching from outside? The detective answered quietly. I believe someone was. Margaret instinctively moved closer to Claire. Claire whispered, this is becoming frightening. Margaret wrapped an arm around her shoulders. You are safe here. Marcus wasn't so certain. He turned toward the security chief. Show me camera 21. The footage appeared. Everyone watched. For several seconds there was nothing. Then a dark figure emerged from the trees beside the east wing. The person crouched beneath the library window. Stayed there for almost 2 minutes, then disappeared into the darkness just before the police arrived. James felt a chill. Zoom in. The technician enlarged the image. The face remained hidden beneath a hood. But one detail stood out. The figure held a camera fitted with a long telephoto lens. Claire gasped. They were photographing us. Marcus nodded grimly. No. He paused. They were spying on us. The detective looked toward his officers. I want every inch of these grounds searched immediately." The officers rushed outside. Inside Ashford Manor, nobody realized that the hunt for the truth had just become a hunt for someone willing to do anything to keep that truth buried. The officers spread across the Ashford estate with flashlights cutting through the darkness. The estate, which had always felt peaceful, suddenly looked like a crime scene. Marcus stood on the front steps watching every movement. "Search every inch," the detective ordered. Gardens, garages, tree lines, the lake, everything. If someone was watching this house, they may have left something behind. "Yes, sir." Within seconds, the officers disappeared into different directions. Claire wrapped her arms around herself. "I never imagined my past could bring this much danger." Margaret immediately took her hand. "This danger didn't begin with you." Claire looked at her. "It began with the people who stole 23 years from both of us." Claire's eyes became watery. "I don't even know how to feel anymore." Margaret smiled sadly. "Neither do I." James walked over. "The guest rooms have been secured." Marcus nodded. "Good." James looked toward Claire. "If anyone is trying to intimidate us, they've made one mistake." Claire frowned. "What mistake?" "They've reminded us we're getting close." Marcus smiled. "Exactly." A loud voice echoed from the eastern garden. "Detective." Everyone turned. One of the officers was waving his flashlight. "We found something." The detective hurried toward him with Marcus, James, and the others close behind. The officer was standing beside a hedge near the library window. He carefully pointed toward the ground. There, lying beneath damp leaves, was a black leather glove. The detective crouched without touching it. "Bag it." Another officer carefully placed the glove into an evidence bag. Marcus leaned closer. "What made you notice it?" The officer answered, "It doesn't belong here." The detective nodded. "Anything else?" The officer pointed toward the soft soil. "There are tire marks." Marcus followed the tracks with his eyes. "They're fresh." The detective examined them, the same direction as the black sedan. James folded his arms. "So whoever was watching us stood here." Marcus finished the sentence. Then returned to the waiting car. Claire looked around nervously. Could they still be nearby? The detective stood. "If they are, they'll be found." At that moment another officer shouted from farther down the property. "Sir!" The detective hurried over. "What now?" The officer held up a small metallic object using tweezers. "I found this beside the fence." Marcus stepped closer. "What is it?" The detective took the object carefully. It was a silver tie pin. Simple. Elegant. Expensive. James frowned. "There are initials." Marcus looked closely. Engraved into the metal were two letters. VA. Nobody spoke. Claire looked at Marcus. "Victor Ashford?" Marcus nodded slowly. "Possibly." Daniel, who had been standing several yards away under police supervision, suddenly looked away. Marcus noticed immediately. "You recognize it?" Daniel shook his head. "I've never seen it." Marcus walked toward him. "You answered too quickly." "I answered honestly." Marcus held the evidence bag where Daniel could see it. "If you've never seen it." He paused. "Why did you immediately deny recognizing it before I even asked?" Daniel said nothing. The detective quietly observed the exchange. "Mr. Carter." Daniel looked at him. "Would you mind explaining why every new piece of evidence seems to make you more uncomfortable?" Daniel forced a smile. "I'm uncomfortable because I'm being accused of something I didn't do." Marcus spoke calmly. "No one has accused you of kidnapping." Daniel's eyes widened almost imperceptibly. Marcus continued. But it's interesting that's where your mind went. Daniel realized his mistake. I didn't mean. I know exactly what you meant. James looked at Daniel. Were you involved? No. Did you know Victor? No. Have you ever worked for Victor? No. Marcus stepped even closer. Have you ever received money from Victor? Daniel hesitated. James immediately caught it. There. Marcus nodded. You paused. I was thinking. Marcus smiled faintly. No. You were deciding. Daniel clenched his jaw. I want my lawyer. The detective nodded. That's certainly your right. Marcus looked toward James. He's changing strategy. James agreed. He knows the conversation is becoming dangerous. Before anyone could speak again, Robert came running from the manor. Mr. Ashford. James turned. What is it? You need to come quickly. What happened? It's Miss Evelyn. Margaret's face immediately changed. Evelyn? Robert nodded breathlessly. She collapsed. Without another word, everyone hurried back toward the house. Inside the drawing room, Evelyn was lying on the sofa. A family physician who lived nearby had already arrived. Claire knelt beside her. Evelyn? The older woman slowly opened her eyes. I'm all right. The doctor shook his head. No excitement. Marcus looked concerned. Can she speak? The doctor answered, briefly. Evelyn reached weakly for Margaret's hand. I remembered something. Marcus immediately stepped closer. What? She swallowed painfully. The nurse. What nurse? The one who carried your baby. Margaret's breathing stopped. What about her? Evelyn closed her eyes. She wasn't crying. Nobody understood. Claire looked confused. What do you mean? Evelyn slowly whispered, the nurse brought us a baby they claimed had died. Margaret covered her mouth. Evelyn continued. But. She began crying. Her uniform was perfectly clean. James frowned. So? Evelyn looked directly at him. I've worked around hospitals. Her voice cracked. If a baby had truly died during delivery. She struggled to continue. There would have been panic. There would have been doctors. There would have been tears. She squeezed Margaret's hand. But there was nothing. The room became silent. The nurse looked. She paused. Prepared. Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. Prepared? Evelyn nodded. As though she'd rehearsed the moment. Margaret could barely stand. My baby. Evelyn looked into her eyes. I don't think your baby died in that hospital. Claire's knees weakened. Margaret instinctively reached for her. Both women held each other tightly. Across the room, Daniel quietly closed his eyes. He knew something. And for the first time that night, it looked as though he was beginning to realize the truth could no longer be buried. Daniel slowly opened his eyes. For the first time since arriving at Ashford Manor, he wasn't trying to argue. He wasn't trying to convince anyone. He simply stared at the floor. Marcus noticed immediately. You're remembering something. Daniel remained silent. James stepped closer. Daniel. No response. Margaret gently helped Evelyn sit upright. You don't have to force yourself to remember anything else tonight. Evelyn shook her head. I have to. Claire knelt beside her. Only if you're strong enough. Evelyn looked at Claire with tears in her eyes. I've lived with guilt for 23 years. Claire frowned. Guilt? I should have questioned what happened that night. You didn't know. I suspected. The room became quiet. I saw fear in people's faces. I heard whispers. I noticed records disappearing. She looked at Margaret, but I convinced myself I was imagining things. Margaret gently held both of Evelyn's hands. You were grieving with me. I should have spoken. You couldn't have known. Evelyn broke down. I failed your little girl. Claire immediately wrapped her arms around her. No. Evelyn looked at Claire. You survived. Claire smiled through tears. And because I survived. She looked toward Margaret. We're standing here together. Margaret could no longer hold back her emotions. She embraced both women. James quietly looked away, wiping a tear before anyone noticed. Marcus allowed them a few moments before speaking. Daniel. Daniel finally looked up. What? I think you're tired of carrying this. Daniel laughed bitterly. You don't know anything about me. Marcus answered softly. I know guilt. Daniel's expression changed. Marcus continued. It keeps people awake. It makes ordinary sounds feel like accusations. It convinces people they can outrun yesterday. Daniel looked away again. Marcus lowered his voice. You've been looking over your shoulder since you arrived. Nobody interrupted. You've watched every window. Every doorway. Every police officer. You aren't afraid of us. Marcus paused. You're afraid of someone else. Daniel's breathing became uneven. The detective folded his notebook closed. I believe Mr. Marcus is right. Daniel rubbed his forehead. You don't understand, Marcus immediately replied, then help us understand. Silence. James spoke next. If someone threatened you, we can protect you. Daniel smiled sadly. You can't. Try us. You don't know who you're dealing with. Marcus answered without hesitation. Victor. Daniel's head snapped upward. Nobody missed it. Claire whispered, he does know him. Daniel closed his eyes again. The detective pulled a chair closer. Sit down. Daniel slowly obeyed. The detective sat opposite him. I want you to listen carefully. Daniel remained silent. If you've participated in a criminal conspiracy, that is serious. Daniel nodded faintly. If you've been coerced into participating. The detective leaned forward. That's something entirely different. Daniel finally spoke. It wasn't supposed to go this far. Claire's heart skipped. Marcus remained calm. What wasn't? Daniel looked toward the window. The lie. Nobody breathed. Margaret whispered, what lie? Daniel swallowed hard. I wasn't there 23 years ago. Marcus nodded. We know. But. Daniel continued. I inherited someone else's secret. James frowned. Inherited? Daniel slowly nodded. My father. The room fell silent. Marcus exchanged a glance with the detective. What about your father? Daniel stared at his own hands. He handled legal paperwork. For whom? Daniel hesitated. Marcus continued. What were you promised? Daniel answered without hesitation. Money. How much? 5 million pounds. James' eyes widened. For forged papers? Daniel nodded. And one more condition. What? I was told a DNA test must never happen. The room fell silent. Marcus slowly looked toward Margaret. Then toward Claire. Finally back to Daniel. So the DNA test is the one thing they fear most. Daniel nodded. Yes. At that exact moment, the detective's phone rang. He answered. Nobody spoke while he listened. His expression became increasingly serious. He ended the call. Marcus looked at him. "What is it?" The detective slowly looked around the room. "The forensic laboratory has completed its preliminary examination." James stepped forward. "And?" The detective took a slow breath. "The documents are confirmed to be forged." A wave of relief swept through the room. But before anyone could celebrate, the detective added one more sentence. "They also found something none of us expected." Marcus frowned. "What?" The detective answered quietly. There was genuine 23-year-old handwriting hidden beneath the alterations. Every face in the room changed. Somewhere beneath the forged lies, the original truth was still waiting to be uncovered. Nobody spoke. The detective's final sentence hung over the room like a storm cloud. Marcus was the first to recover. "What do you mean there was original handwriting beneath the alterations?" The detective carefully opened his notebook. The forensic team examined the documents under infrared and ultraviolet imaging. James leaned forward. "And?" "They discovered that whoever forged these records didn't completely erase the original writing." Margaret's heart pounded. "So, the original records still exist?" "In part." Claire instinctively stepped closer. "What do they say?" The detective shook his head. "The laboratory could only recover fragments." Marcus asked quietly, "Read them." The detective looked down at his notes. The first recovered line reads. He paused. "Female infant transferred under direct instruction." Everyone held their breath. The next recoverable words are Ashford, confidentiality, immediate relocation. Margaret covered her mouth. James whispered, "My God." Marcus remained focused. "What else?" The detective continued. "There is another sentence." He looked up. Original identification bracelet removed before transfer. Claire's hand instinctively moved toward the silver bracelet resting inside the evidence bag. Marcus immediately understood. They removed one bracelet. He looked at Claire. But somehow this one survived. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. "I ordered two." Marcus nodded. One disappeared. He gently looked at Claire. "The other stayed with you?" Claire slowly shook her head. "My foster mother." She suddenly stopped speaking. Marcus noticed. "What is it?" Claire looked lost in thought. "She used to tell me something every birthday." "What did she say?" Claire smiled sadly. She'd hold that little pouch and say. Her voice trembled. "Never let anyone convince you that you were forgotten." Margaret broke down again. "I never forgot you." Claire looked at her. "I know." James quietly wiped his eyes. Even the detective remained silent, allowing the moment to unfold. Then Marcus spoke. "We're closer than ever." Daniel slowly stood. "I can help." Every eye turned toward him. Marcus folded his arms. "Go on." Daniel took a deep breath. "There was one thing inside my father's box that I never brought." "What?" "A small leather notebook." Marcus' expression sharpened. "Where is it?" "In my apartment." James asked immediately, "What's inside?" "I never read all of it." "Why not?" Daniel looked ashamed. "I was afraid." Marcus answered, "You're not afraid anymore." Daniel nodded slowly. "No." "What changed?" Daniel looked toward Claire. "When she walked into this house." He paused. "I expected to meet someone chasing money." Claire stared at him without speaking. But instead, Daniel continued, "I met someone searching for a family." Margaret quietly held Claire's hand. Daniel lowered his head. "I've done terrible things." Marcus replied, "Then start doing the right one." Daniel nodded. I'll hand over everything. The detective stepped forward. We'll accompany you. Daniel agreed without hesitation. Just then, another officer entered the room carrying a sealed evidence envelope. Sir. The detective looked up. What is it? The laboratory also returned this. He accepted the envelope. Across the front was printed, "Urgent, DNA collection received." Claire felt her knees weaken. Margaret instinctively supported her. Marcus looked at the detective. Already? The laboratory expedited it after learning the circumstances. James looked from the envelope to Margaret. This is it. Margaret whispered, I don't know if I'm ready. Claire looked at her. I'm not either. Marcus gently held up a hand. No. Everyone looked at him. We're not opening it tonight, James frowned. Why? Marcus answered calmly. Because there are still people trying to stop the truth. The detective nodded in agreement. If Daniel's statement is accurate, someone has gone to extraordinary lengths to prevent this test. Marcus looked around the room. I won't risk giving them another opportunity. James understood. So we secure the evidence. Exactly. The detective placed the DNA envelope into a tamper-proof evidence case. This will remain in police custody until tomorrow morning. Claire looked disappointed. We have to wait. Marcus smiled gently. Only one more night. Margaret reached for Claire's hand. We've waited 23 years. She smiled through tears. We can survive one more night. Claire managed a small smile. Together. Margaret nodded. Together. The detective locked the evidence case. The DNA results will be open tomorrow in the presence of everyone involved. Marcus looked around the room. No secrets. James added, no interruptions. Margaret whispered, no more lies. Claire finished quietly, and no more fear. Outside, rain began falling against the windows. Inside Ashford Manor, the atmosphere had changed. For the first time in 23 years, hope was stronger than deception. As the officers escorted Daniel toward the door, he suddenly stopped. Marcus looked at him. What is it? Daniel slowly turned back toward Claire. If Victor realizes I've spoken. He hesitated. He won't stop. Marcus answered firmly. Neither will we. Daniel nodded once before walking out into the rain under police escort. Claire watched the front door close. Then she turned toward Margaret. Neither woman spoke. Words were no longer enough. They simply held each other as the camera slowly pulled back from the room where so many lies had finally begun to collapse. But the greatest truth was still sealed inside a single envelope waiting to be opened. If you've been on this emotional journey with Margaret and Claire, now is the perfect time to let us know where you're watching from and tell us what you think the DNA results will reveal. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the unforgettable finale. Because in episode 3, the envelope will finally be opened. And one family will discover whether 23 years of heartbreak are about to end, or begin all over again.